Good morning and welcome to Point Church. We're so glad you're here with us today. There's always something exciting happening around here, so let's take a look at what's coming up and how you can get connected. If you're new to Point, Starting Point is the class for you. It's a one-time class where you'll learn more about Point Church, have a chance to ask questions, and find clear next steps for groups and serving. Starting Point has a new time and will be held on Sunday evenings with dinner provided. The next one is happening next Sunday, February 1st at 6:30 p.m. Registration is now open on Church Center, or you can visit pointchurch.com/growthtrack. A new series is kicking off next Sunday on February 1st called Christ on Every Page. It's all about seeing Christ revealed all throughout the Old and New Testament. We believe this series will be impactful, and we encourage you to take notes each week and not miss a message. We'll be giving out sermon notes journals to anyone who doesn't have one yet, so don't miss next Sunday as we dive into this together. Mark your calendars for our Ash Wednesday services coming up on Wednesday, February 18th. We can't wait for you to join us as we begin an intentional season of preparation, humility, and seeking the Lord in anticipation of the resurrection of Jesus Christ. We'll have 3 service times for you and your family to join at 6:30 a.m., 12 p.m., and 6:30 p.m. Lent reading guides will be available at our Ash Wednesday services and starting on February 8th as we prepare for this season. Remember, you can find all the details and register for events anytime on Church Center by visiting pointchurch.com/churchcenter. Thanks again for joining us today. We hope you enjoy the rest of the service.
Welcome to week 4 of our series, Made for More. In this series, we've been going through our disciple maker pathway. In week 1, we looked at what it means to go from a pre-disciple to a disciple. What does it mean for someone to become a follower of Jesus? In week 2, we looked at what does it mean to be a growing disciple? And that means someone's embracing the rhythms and the beliefs of Jesus. And then last week, we looked at what does it mean to be a disciple maker and a multiplying disciple maker, and explaining that we've all been given the mission to make disciples, not just people that are pastors or people that are elders, but we are all called to make disciples. That is our identity. And so we talked about D groups, and that's how we're going to be living that out here at Point Church, inviting you to join a D group where you're reading the Bible together, praying together, confessing sin, blessing people that don't know Jesus, and that we want to invite people to join these D groups and then start their own, and then encourage other people to start their own, and to do that over and over and over again and create a disciple-making movement within our church. Today, we want to look at the last step on our disciple maker pathway, which is everyday missionary. When we think of the word missionary, we often think about going to another country, or at least going to another state. And that's true, that is what a missionary does. But I want to kind of bring down the definition a little bit about how far you have to go to be a missionary. To be a missionary, you just have to go. And literally, it can just mean going outside. In Matthew 28, when Jesus gives the Great Commission, it says, go and make disciples. Well, in the original language, that word go is in a tense where it really, quite literally, is saying, as you go. As you go on the road, as you go to work, as you go to the grocery store, everywhere you go, if you are a follower of Jesus, your mission, like our church's name, is to point people to Jesus. You are a missionary every day, everywhere you go. And what we want everyone to wrestle through, and this is what we are going to be really talking about on our launch point, which is the 3rd step of our growth track, is that we want you to pray about and ask the Holy Spirit to reveal to you what is your particular mission. Okay? Like, even though you're on mission everywhere you go, we also believe that God has made you unique with your personality and your gifts and your talents and your wirings. And we believe God is calling everyone in certain seasons to do different things on mission for Him. We want you to have the posture of like Mary, where she says, I am the Lord's servant, or Samuel, who says, here I am, Lord, or Isaiah, who says, here I am, Lord, send me. Right? We want you to pray and ask the Lord to reveal, what is my mission? Who are you calling me to reach? Who is my mission field? That could be the gym. That could be, the neighborhood pool. That could be the park across the street. That could be a group of people that love working on cars, the gym, whatever. It could be some people at work that all have a common interest or even a common struggle. And seeing these passions or these interests or even just walking around and saying like, Lord, what is it that breaks your heart? In Acts 17, Paul goes to Athens and his heart is distressed. And that led him to go and to minister to these people as a missionary. Ask the Lord, what is it that breaks my heart? What is it that moves me? And let that be something God might call you to. And so today, we have a unique opportunity on a unique Sunday to close this out. And coming up here in just a second, you're going to hear from Pete Coco. He's going to be teaching our launch point here at Point Church starting next week. He also has an incredible story and maybe the biggest heart I've ever seen for people to be everyday missionaries, for people to be on mission, pointing people to Jesus, understanding how God has called them and how he's uniquely gifted them. So he's going to share a story, and he's going to also share what it looks like for you as well to be an everyday missionary. And then I'm going to have a conversation with Matt Canis, who's a dear friend of mine, who lives out being an everyday missionary here at Point Church. I think he holds the record for most people who he has invited who have come to church in this past year. And so I'm excited for you to hear his story, and I think it will embolden you to be a missionary wherever you go as well. So Matt, you've been brought here today because you've won an award. You're unaware of it, and you probably don't want an award, but I'm pretty sure that you have invited the most people to church over the past year. And this week, we're looking at what it means to be an everyday missionary, what it means to kind of embrace your own mission of finding, ways to invite people, and also finding a place that maybe God's calling you to reach to. But just take me back through, like, kind of since you've been coming to Point Church. And tell me about some of what's been exciting for you about inviting people to church.
The exciting part is, bringing people and seeing they actually like it. And it makes it really easy to do that when you're part of a church that is as good as Point. If it feels like home and it's inviting and the community is great, which it is, all you have to do is get in there, and then everyone else will do the rest. God will do the rest, really. So, I think that's the rewarding part, is just seeing people get excited to want to go to church.
Well, maybe to take a step back, have you always been someone who talked about Jesus openly, or?
Yes and no. Yes and no. I've never shied away from talking about God, but I wasn't so direct about it in the past.
Well, you mentioned this to me. Right before you moved here, you really started growing in your relationship with the Lord. Yeah. And I think we talked about that for you, closeness with the Lord led to a sense of being unashamed, right? So have you found in your growth that leads you to be more compelled to talk to people about him?
Yeah, I've seen what God did in my life, and I want that for everybody around me. You know me long enough to know how I am as a person, and I tend to want people to be their best, and I really don't think you could possibly do that without Christ. So if I want to see you be your best, I need to kind of push that on you so that you find that. But I don't know, he just worked on my heart and made me confident in what I had to say. As I grew in my faith and I was more confident in what I've learned, it was easier for me to share that. You don't really want to talk about things you don't know anything about. Nobody does. So I think that when he gave me the opportunity to grow deeper in my faith, and I was able to pass that on to other people a lot easier.
So to get specific, on Everyday Missionary, one of the things we're challenging people to is to ask the Lord, hey, have you given me a specific mission in my life right now? What is it that you've broken my heart for? What's a skill or a passion that you've given me? You are an avid weightlifter, I would say. So Matt is a bodybuilder and decently strong fella. And so he has found that the gym has been a really effective mission field. It's been a couple of different gyms, and that's not really so much the point of this. But, talk about how finding a place of passion has led to you being effective on mission for Jesus at gyms.
So I have been to pretty much every gym in the Triangle. I've bounced around. I've been to them all. And all of them have led to somebody coming to church. Literally, I think every single one has had somebody that decided they were going to start coming to church. And it's cool. But I think what I realized is that as you make a name for yourself in a space, or or God makes a name for you, or however you want to say it, but as you grow in a space and people notice you because of your ability to thrive in that space, you're given an influence, right? It's like you have a platform now, and how you use that platform is completely up to you. And I just decided that because God blessed me with the ability to bodybuild and be pretty competitive and like have the genetics to do so, I kind of had to give back to him some way, shape, or form in it. And since I don't make any money from it, the best thing for me to do is kind of just start planting seeds and using bodybuilding to do that.
We talked about this the other day. I asked you for kind of like maybe a couple tips. Like what are some of the ways do you quickly find your way into conversations where you can bring up God? Whether it's through clothes you wear, things you say.
Yeah.
So what's your method, if you will?
100%. Clothing is huge. Always, if you can. I mean, I said this to you the other day. Everybody likes to wear their Jesus apparel to church. It's cool. Wear it everywhere. Like, you don't have to just wear it to church or in places where you're surrounded by other Christians. Wear it to places where you may get ridiculed, but you'll also, pique somebody's interest and you might end up with a conversation. Throw it out there in conversation. You don't have to be like, hey, do you know Jesus? Like, that can be awkward or intimidating for people. So, if somebody says, oh, how's your day going? If usually I always say good. But God is good. Throw that out there because he is, and whatever's going on, God is still good. So it's not a lie. But that kind of lets them know, like, hey, this person's into God. Like, let me ask some questions if I have them. And again, I think the questions are going to come more so after you've developed a relationship, but it's really that planting the seed and the icebreaker that kind of gets you to that point.
Yeah. So today's a special day. It's because you have a couple of friends who you've invited to church who are getting baptized today. And also you've had someone else who's been baptized before. And so how exciting is it that you've invited people to come with you to church, talked about Jesus boldly, and you've seen them make this incredible decision?
It's really cool. I don't think it hit me that hard. Honestly, the one that hit me really hard was my wife, obviously. When Alyssa got baptized, I was basically ready to be in tears. I'm pretty sure I cried. But seeing her and the change that she went through because of God, it's crazy. It's like she's a completely different person in the best way. And it's not, she wasn't a good person before. She's just grown so much. And like, I see the growth regularly, and I think that's cool. But then to see Chris get baptized, I was blindsided by it because I knew that he was watching online. I didn't know how closely he was following online. So it was cool for me to see, like, oh, okay, like he's really into this. And like now he's like really committed to this, because he had told me at one point, he was like, I'm probably never going to go to church again. So to see that happen and to see him going regularly and he's attending Bible study, like that's cool. And then Mauricio and Sydney, I mean, they just were all about it. He had told me I think it actually might've been a few weeks ago, he told me, but he was like, man, I had been praying for somebody to just come into my life and like get me closer to God. I needed people in my life like that. And then I met you. Like, it's just crazy how that happens. I said, that's cool. Like, it's cool to be the person that God uses to get somebody closer to him.
Totally. Last question. You're a coach. As a coach, or just as another brother in Christ, just a friend, how would you encourage people that are here today watching to kind of take a step of being on mission and pointing people to Jesus?
Be yourself. 100%. Just be yourself and talk about your experience, right? Everybody is big on how things, on relating to them. So I would say compliment somebody, start up a conversation, build a bond, build a relationship, a friendship, whatever it is, and make sure that you make it known that you follow God, and the way that you live will resemble that. If you're really following God, like they're going to notice something's different in your life, and they're going to wonder why. And eventually they're going to ask, because normal people don't live like that. So it becomes apparent. And, when you kind of have a shine to it, everybody wants it. So it's pretty easy to point people to God when they can see what God is doing in your life.
Hey everyone, my name is Pete, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about myself. And I have to start by saying that God has been incredibly kind to me. He's given me security, he's given me purpose, he's given me adventure, and he's given me an incredible partner to live out that adventure with. Paulette and I have been married now for 32 years, and she has been nothing but supportive to me. My brother affectionately once told me that I'd be nothing without her. I think that was a bit of an overstatement, but there's probably a little bit of truth to it. We have 5 grown kids, and they are all amazing. We are incredibly proud of them. Like I said, God's been very kind to me. My journey with God really started when I was in college. For the first time in my life, I was surrounded by friends who loved Jesus, and they showed me that faith is indeed an adventure, not just a routine. Got baptized at 20, and not long after that, it seemed like the most natural thing to join a small team of students headed to the country of Hungary for a year. It was 1990. And the Berlin Wall had just fallen, and we got a front row seat observing how a former communist country could transform right before our eyes. We saw statues fall and old street names return, and we saw what it looks like for people to let themselves hope again. As you know, hopeless environments are not reserved for communist countries. There are people who surround you every day who need hope. And we got to see firsthand how God brings that hope. We noticed that God seems to care less about our ability and more about, quite frankly, our availability. We saw how he used us, the young, the inexperienced, the uneducated. Through our simple presence and our feeble attempts, God was big. And by the end of the year, a handful of Hungarians gave their lives to Jesus. And a ministry was born that still exists today. And it makes me wonder what God might want to do with you. My story isn't some anomaly. This is the way God works. And while we were in Hungary, my best friend, also my college roommate, he was doing similar work in China. And we thought, let's go see what he's doing. And so over winter break, we decided to visit him. And being young and slightly reckless, we took the Siberian Express. That's 9 days, one way, on a train across Russia. The adventure continued. And in the midst of running hard after Jesus, I looked to my side and I noticed a girl who was running hard too. And that's how I met Paulette, on a train to China. Together, we've come to believe that there's no better way, no better life than to have an adventurous one that follows Jesus. We decided right then and there to give our lives to that idea. And after that year, I became a campus minister at Illinois State, and I spent the next 22 years helping students discover their gifts and pursue their own adventures with Jesus. We started with 8 students who honestly weren't that thrilled to see me, but over time, God's favor was strong, and the ministry grew to over 400. And let me be clear, it really wasn't about the numbers in our seats that was the real win. It was watching what these students did once they graduated. One now pastors one of the fastest growing churches in the U.S. Another adopted and transformed an entire slum in Africa. And still another started a high school for high-risk teens. These are some of the big stories, but quite honestly, it's the subtle and the more inconspicuous stories that I believe have the biggest impact. It's those that have gone on to build strong, God-centered families that are faithfully changing neighborhoods, one meal or one bedtime story at a time. What I noticed during that season was a distinct culture difference. On campus, the students saw themselves as contributors, but in the church I attended, people saw themselves as consumers. And that tension has always stayed with me. And one night I had a dream that shaped the path that I'm on now. In the dream, the church was full. People were singing, they were engaged and present, and then a voice, Jesus' voice. filled the room. And he began calling people by name. Dave, I have a personal mission for you in your neighborhood. Lisa, I have a personal mission for you to serve at the middle school. Nancy, I have a personal mission for you to bring hope to the hospital. The message was clear, specific, and powerful. But what happened next was heartbreaking. No one moved. Not because they didn't want to, but because they couldn't. For some reason, they were all stuck to their pews, trapped by a culture of passivity. Some might say that they were institutionalized. As I watched this unfold, tears filled my eyes, and I heard myself whisper, if they only knew they had permission. When I woke up, the words from that dream began to morph, and I saw how Jesus' desire for personal missions required permission. So I started an organization called Permission. And for the last 7 years, I've written a book, started a podcast, developed an app, all with the purpose of helping ordinary people discover their own extraordinary mission. And about 6 months ago, I started talking with the leaders here at Point, and they share in my passion to empower ordinary people, not just to articulate good news, but to be good news in the places that you work, where you play, and where you live. They've graciously asked me to lead Launch Point. And so this Wednesday, we're starting Launch Point, which is the next step after Growth Point. And if you finished Growth Point, I'd love for you to join us. We'll be meeting right here at the church, 6:30 every Wednesday. And it's important for you to know that this is going to be an experience more than a study. So come ready to engage with one another. I'm convinced that God has a personal mission for you. Together, we're going to find it. Look forward to seeing you.